My friends, we are going to grow and get better together. This is not about me. This is about us. Welcome to Win Today with Johnny Martin. What's going on, friends? Welcome back to another episode of Win Today with your boy, Johnny Martin. As always, so happy to have in the studio from Seven Roads Media, Donnie Cav. What's going on, Donnie?
Hi, John. How are you?
Life is good, man. And my good friend from Cloud9 Marketing Group, Dylan Pilon. Great having you, brother.
What's going on, man? Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, guys. As you guys know, these two are instrumental in allowing me to do what I love to do, trying to reach out and help in any way I can to inspire and touch the lives of other people. And Dylan and Donnie both know that without them, I literally could not do this.
There is a large amount of truth to that statement.
Yeah, plugging in the microphone is hard enough for me. So we play to our strengths, guys and gals. We play to our strengths, and then we tap into those around us, rather, that have strengths and a skill set that we do not have. I'm really, really excited for this episode today. I have a chance to talk about something that I've done a lot of reading on and researching into and talking to people about over the last several years. I wanted to share it with you guys today, and that's this notion of success, how we define success, and is there more? Do we want to leave more when we leave this place? So we're going to talk a little bit today about success and significance, and so all of us in this room right now, and those of you that are listening, obviously success is a goal. That's why we go to work every day. That's why we engage in relationships. That's why we try to improve as people. We want to improve on our level of success. But what I've learned through my own life, but more specifically from a lot of the people I've had a chance to read about and listen to and talk to, is that there's something more out there, and maybe not for everybody, but it's something worth, you all that are listening right now, it's definitely something worth thinking about. And that's the difference between success and significance. And for those of you that have never heard of, many of you have, I'm sure, but there was a guy by the name of Lou Holtz, and Lou Holtz was, and still is, one of the most legendary coaches in the history of college football. And since retiring from college football, he won a national championship at Notre Dame, coached at the University of South Carolina, among other stops along his journey. But he goes out now and he speaks all across the country. And he's dynamic, a very, very good speaker. And one of the things that he speaks about a lot is the difference between success and significance. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. But one of the things that Coach Holtz always says is, and it really resonated with me the first time that I heard it. He was speaking at a graduation, and he was talking to the college graduates about their journey and blazing their own trail, and this notion of being significant. And that is some of the greatest leaders of our time, but also the individuals, those people that, whether they even know it or not, are striving to be significant people. Here's really the underlying difference between success and significance. The successful person can look in the mirror and they know at the end of the day that they've accomplished something. They have personally accomplished something, whether it's through their career, their family, a hobby, whatever they're involved with. They can look in the mirror and know that they were successful today. They won today, right? And that's a great thing. But the significant person, and this is how Coach Holtz framed it, and I'll never forget it, the significant person can look all around them and know that they have put other people in a position to become successful. And when I heard that for the first time, it hit me like a truck, and it really sat with me, because in my work that I've done with kids and families and athletes and corporations, and to me, that's the goal. My personal success, my individual success, is not measured for me as greatly as the impact that I may be able to have on other people. That's just what's important to me. Everybody's different. But for me, it's this notion that maybe something that I've shared with someone else empowers them to become successful. then they use those talents, those strengths, and those gifts, and they empower other people to become successful. And so that's how this kind of chain continues, that they are now going from being a successful person to being a significant person, a person who adds value to the lives of other people, essentially is what significance means. So we're going to talk a little bit about, and I'm Donnie and Dylan, I'm definitely interested to hear your take on this, and certainly not to put you on the spot, but I think all of us, correct me if I'm wrong, you spent a lot of time in your life thinking about success.
Of course.
Being a successful person, right?
Of course.
How many times or how often have you ever stopped and tried to measure the difference between success and significance, your value to others?
I don't know that I ever really have sat down and think about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and
success is success.
Correct. And that's the thing. And that's what most people, and this is not a fault, that's what most people do. So, and also because we by our very nature, human beings are selfish. I don't want people to hear that word and think it's a bad word. Selfish is not always a bad word. But as human beings, we can be very selfish. That's the ego that interferes with a lot of the things that we do or don't do, or helps with the things that we do and don't do in our life. So I never spent much time thinking about that. But then when I reflect on the work I've done for the last 20 years, and I really measure it, I want to be, and we'll get into why, this will all make more sense as we continue to talk. And hopefully for those of you that are listening, you'll be able to sort of figure out which lane you stand in right now and if you want to switch. But this notion that, wow, I can have that individual success. I can be a successful person, however you measure it. Everybody's going to measure it differently, right? For you, your definition of success may be different than mine. Dylan, your definition of success may be different than mine, but based on the very nature of your work, you're significant because you are trying to empower other people, other entities to become more successful. That's what you do. That's what your group does. So I want to talk about what I've learned through talking to people and through some research, but really just like every other episode that we do, folks, just get real present. Try to block out all the other noise and the bullshit in your lives and get real honest with yourself. Really try to figure out where you stand and if you need to shift. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But to me, as I've looked at it more and more, success comes with limitations. Success is limiting. What are we really chasing, right? Most people that get into business, what are they chasing? They're chasing cash. They're chasing the almighty dollar. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But here's why success comes with limitations. So if you're chasing the cash, that's great. If you're a student, the chase is about, and if you care about your schooling, and you have the supports in place to put you in a position to do well, maybe you care about the grades. I would argue after 20 years in education as a counselor, we place too much emphasis on grades and not enough emphasis on the process, right? Kids don't learn how to learn. They're forced to learn in the system that we've created for them. And we all know the system is flawed in many ways. What else are you chasing? You're chasing the promotion. Okay, you get out of college and you're a finance major, economics major. You go to work for one of the big firms and you're working 80, 90 hours a week. You're in their management track program and you are hustling because you're chasing that next step. You pass your series exam, I get to climb another rung. You keep climbing through the company, you do well, I get to climb another rung. And my fear for people is that you look back on your life and you're chasing that individual success at your own expense. Are you enjoying the journey? So all of these things are great and will definitely quantify your success. The cash, the grades, the promotion, they're all going to quantify your success. The unfortunate part is, in the world we live in today, success is limited because it's not all up to us. We've talked in other episodes, and we'll continue to, about how we write our own story, right? How this is our journey. But success is limited because it's not entirely up to us. Well, let's talk about the cash. Well, when the economy changes, whether you are one of the richest people in the world or whether you're struggling to get by to support your family and you bust your ass every day with multiple jobs to try to put food on the table and keep the heat on, when the economy changes, so does your work. So does your value. So that's one way that success is limited. Because if you measure your success by the fact that, hey, I'm able to turn the lights on for my family and I'm able to have food in the refrigerator, I'm successful, personally successful. Hell yeah, you are. But when the economy changes, so does your job. When you have a boss, if you work for somebody else, when you have a boss and your ideology around your job does not coincide with your boss, or your boss is not a real good leader, well, then your success is limited. If we measure it just by grades for the kids out there or the parents out there that are listening, what about that kid that has a learning exceptionality? What about that kid that has a barrier that stands in the way of his or her learning? But they go into the same class that's been taught the same way, the same day over and over and over again. And so that kid is not set up to be personally successful because the system is not set up to provide individual success for that kid. And that's much more within my wheelhouse. But you see how success has limitations. You see how it can be limiting. There's only one absolute in life. Only one. I had an unbelievable conversation with my priest not too long ago. Dylan and I shared some banter back and forth through our notes during the week. But there's only one absolute in life. Donnie, any idea what that is?
Taxes.
That's what most people would say. And I had this same argument with Dylan. It's taxes. But the thing is, it's not. The only absolute in life is death. Everything else is about choice. So I had this argument with my priest. He checked me quick too. I said, that's not true. That's not true, Father. The only absolute thing in life is death. It's not true. The breath, the air that we breathe. He said, no, it's not true. You can choose to stop breathing. I said, okay, fair point. And then I said what you guys said to me and what Donnie just said to me. I said, taxes. I said, no, not true. You don't have to pay them. I mean, there's some folks that'll come looking for you and you're going to get in trouble. But there are people that don't pay their taxes all the time. The only absolute in life is death. So here's the biggest reason for me personally, and why I share this with you, that success is limiting. Because when you die, so does your success. So I would challenge all of you that are listening to think about a shifted mindset a little bit. We all have this in us. But we are never, through the confines of our day and our lives, because we all have the same 24 hours, we're never really forced to look at ourselves from a significant perspective because we're too busy chasing that immediate success. When we die, so does our success. Is personal success ever enough? The richest people in the world, most of them, always want more money. The best students in the world are competing with that very, very small population of kids in their school, whether it's middle school, high school, or they move on to the Ivy Leagues or the small Ivies, the best colleges in the country. And then that competition comes from everybody else that are the brightest minds in the country. And so is their personal success ever enough? And typically, what I've found in my reading and talking to people is typically the answer is no, because we always want more stuff. I put myself in a position where I could afford to buy a brand new truck. I've had that truck now for a couple years. I want a new truck. Do I need a new truck? Hell no. I want a new truck. It's stuff, because that's how I quantify success, right? I'm doing well. Donnie, in your world, every time I talk to you, you're buying new media stuff. True or false?
100% true.
Yeah, and do you need it all? Need, as defined by cannot do without.
In order to continue the success of my business, I have to continue to level up.
To continue the success of my business does not equal need.
this is true to a point.
No, it's an absolute. It is true. It's not to a point. It's a choice. Is my point.
Yes, and that's to the point where you make a choice. For me, I make a choice to purchase a new insert piece of equipment here because it's going to contribute to the success of the business.
Hell yeah, because it's going to continue and to grow your brand. Dylan, same thing. You can't settle on what you did yesterday because every other marketing group across the country and globally, they like you are keeping track of trends in marketing and what businesses are looking for and how to push their products more effectively through all the different spaces now that are available for you guys to push products, right? So, and you guys that are listening, think about that in any area of your life. Whether you have a ton of expendable income, not much, struggling to get by, there are plenty of things that you want and probably get for yourselves, but that you don't need. And all that does is continue to feed the ego because we want more stuff. Now, shift the focus, shift the mindset. Start thinking about your role as a significant human being, somebody who's significant. It's everlasting. The only absolute is death. The significant person or people or group or team, it's everlasting. Tom Brady will be talked about forever. The greats in music will be talked about forever, whoever your genre is. And even if you are a huge fan of one genre, you still know who Michael Jackson is. You still know who Prince is. You still know who Johnny Cash is, right? So this stuff, this notion of being successful or being significant has occupied my mind for a long time because it's, when we truly think about how powerful it can be in our own lives, it's ridiculous. If you look at sports, so I mentioned Tom Brady. You don't have to be a boxer to have heard of Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson. They're significant figures for a myriad of reasons. Were they successful? Of course. Okay, of course. But some of the most significant people on the planet, most of us have probably never heard of, because in our society, we equate success with fame, notoriety, and money. The significant person doesn't measure their worth, doesn't have to measure their worth based on how much money they have in their bank account. Famous doesn't equal great. They just continue to live in a way that serves other people in whatever medium that is. So I ask you guys that are listening, why not you? Why not now? Why not tap into those strengths, gifts, and talents you have to empower others to be successful? While you're doing that, your own personal success will skyrocket. We try to complicate shit all the time, but it's really not that complicated. Live in a way that will lift others, and in the process, you will skyrocket. So when we use those talents, strengths, and gifts to help other people become successful, we start a chain, right? And that chain lasts long after we're gone. When you change somebody else's life, that person can then go and change somebody's life as well. Quirky, corny, not to me. It's truly how I want to live my life. If you're listening to this right now and you're saying, yeah, but I'm not in a job that allows me to do that, then you're missing the entire effing point of this discussion. It's not about your job. It's about your life. Well, I don't work in a job that allows me to do that. By the very nature of the fact that we're human beings, we have the ability to do it for other people. Period. Everybody thinks big, like, because again, fame equals greatness. I don't have the money to do it. I don't have the time to do it. It's all garbage. Donnie, how many hours in your day?
24.
Yeah, Dylan, same for you, right, brother? I got the same 24 hours. So it's you have the time. The other reason that I've really gotten into this whole significance piece is that it feeds you. And I don't mean physically feed you. It feeds your soul. It feeds your spirit. When you can go to bed at night knowing that you did something or potentially did something to change the life of another human being, Man, that's why I get up every day. That is the reason I get up every day. The first bit of thanks I give when I get down on my knees in the morning is thank you for another day. Now I have another chance to do it better than I did it yesterday. What makes me different? Not a thing. That's why I love this space and this medium to share with all of you, because I don't care if you're listening from 5 minutes away, 5 hours away, or 5,000 miles away. We all have that ability. Every single one of us has the ability to impact somebody's life in a positive way. And I'm telling you, your life in return will skyrocket because of it. So why don't we stop wasting our gifts? Donnie, it took you almost 40 years to realize, man, not only do I have a gift, but man, I got such a passion for this media thing. And Donnie, I'll tell everybody that's listening, Donnie was one of the guys that inspired me to get off my ass and to take a leap and say, why not me and why not now? He started messing around with audio and video equipment, and now he's got a media company. Now, did that happen as quickly as I just explained it? No, but that's what we love about this. That's what you have to learn to love about this. Dylan graduated from school, was working for other people, and one day the light bulb went off, and correct me if I'm wrong, bro, but everything you shared with me, you went, F this. This is not what feeds me. This is not what feeds my soul. I'm taking a leap of faith, and I'm doing this, man. And expound upon that if you would, but I know that I'm, that's the abridged version, but that's what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that I try to articulate to students, because I have the pleasure, the honor even.
You have a chance to talk all the time.
To go in and speak. And if you do the math on it, there's like over 80,000 hours if you work 40 hours a week for 40 years. It's ridiculous.
The math is ridiculous.
And to think that you would put that into building somebody else's empire when you have the ability to do something that you love every day and build your empire and your legacy, that's what drives me.
It's such an awesome way to put it, too. In our first episode, when we kicked this whole thing off, we talked about filling the pages of your book, right? If you guys haven't checked that out, please check it out. And a lot of this will sort of, I think, really come together for you nicely. But this notion that we're allowing life to fill the pages of our book. And the way you just explained it was, hell no, man, I'm writing my own story. I'm creating the pages. And in the meantime, I'm helping other people write the pages of their own book. Guys, you guys that are listening, if you think that the three of us have been lucky enough to just fall into this studio space, get all this equipment, 2 out of the 3 of us in here have other full-time jobs. And the dude that has one full-time job works more hours than we do in our several jobs. So this is a labor of love. This is my purpose. This is our passion. So the minute you tell yourself when you get up in the morning that I don't have time to do what it is that I really want to do, you're dying while you're living. And we're all dying every day anyways. And I don't share that to sound cold. I think you guys can tell at this point I'm a pretty positive dude. But don't minimize the minutes you have on this earth, because they are fleeting. We never get them back. You make time in this life what you want to make time for. And if you can make time to be personally successful, then you can change that success, create significance, and help so many other people around you become successful. And I'm telling you, you are going to shoot to the moon. I'm telling you right now, you're going to shoot to the moon. So people ask me all the time, so, I talk to a lot of different groups on this topic. When I go out and speak, I do a lot of work with groups around the difference between success and significance. So I've tried to put it together in a way, if you're listening, that might make sense for you. Just a few tips, I think. I try to end every episode with something concrete that you can latch onto, whether it's a book, whether it's some tips that you can start implementing in your life right away, whether if it's a discussion around training, some supplements that may be good. But a few tips around significance. Some tips that really you can get started on changes that will change you. The first thing is what we talked about for a large part of this episode is you need to come to terms with the fact that we will not be around forever. The one absolute is that we're all going at some point. Once you come to terms with that, nobody wants to think about that, but you have to come to terms with it so you can really start living. We talked in another episode about your wake up. Does your wake up today matter to anybody, and why? Here's another way to think about it. Create a life that somebody else would want to copy. Create a life that somebody else would want to copy. Focus on relationships, not stuff. Stuff is fleeting. The relationships you create and help other people create will last forever. Start now. Start now. Do one person. Do one thing. Do one thing for one person today. Real simple. One thing for one person. Fuel your passion outside your job. We're going to talk about that in another episode. How to fuel your passion outside your job. If you're a student, your job is school. If you work for a company, that's your job. How do we fuel your passion outside your job? And then read and talk to as many people as you can that live in a way that you respect. So if you have to play this thing back 10, 15 times to write those down, do it. But I'm telling you, if you do these things, your life will start to change. Your impact on people will start to change. I am so blessed, thankful, and honored that you guys took the time to spend it with me on another day. Please, as always, if you like what you heard, comment, ask questions, engage with me. This is not about me. This is about us. Special thanks again to Seven Roads Media, to Cloud9 Marketing Group, and our sponsor for this episode, Team Strength 261. You can find them on all forms of social media at Team Strength 261. As always, be good to those you love. Let them know you love them. And do everything you can to win today. This is your boy, Johnny Martin, signing out. Be well, everybody. Thank you to Seven Roads Media and Cloud9 Marketing Group for co-producing the show. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on whatever platform you're on. Without you, I cannot continue to do what I love. You can follow me personally on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Real John C. Martin. I'd love to hear from you, so please reach out with comments and questions after each episode. Your comments push me to get better every day. As always, thank you for your continued support, and don't forget, win today.